6 and 6. Kyle Lowry with the ring. Kawhi Leonard bringing the chips to the city. I want my chips with the dip. That's all I know. I don't want my chips plain. I want my chips with the dip. So bring them dips. That dynasty's over. We did what we had to do. We did this off of heart. We did this off of love. We willed this into existence. We manifested this. I told you the first time. People like to make memes. Make another meme out of this. It's beautiful. Look at my brothers up there celebrating it. It is what it is. You see what my hat says. Not finals, not Eastern Conference, not nice try, or see you next year. Champions. Let's go. Real talk.
That's who did I steal from? Price tags on making the world feel some. They don't have enough to satisfy a real one.
Logical Raptors Fanatic.
Shoot trying to miss. Like every shot.
Logical Raptors Fanatic.
Try to make it, so I was gonna act surprised.
Logical Raptors Fanatic.
Love the game of basketball. I mean, it's just more questions you have to ask me in order for me to tell you about.
Logical Raptors Fanatic.
I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at. Like.
You know, no
Project Truth
has contacted me, and I see all the stuff that you guys see, you know. Yeah, so they keep dreaming. I dream too.
Salute, real ones. Project Truth always. Mike G back here with Logical Raptors Fanatic, and this one's a great special kind of video to take a look back for our 6-month anniversary that just passed. 6 months of the Logical Raptors Fanatic kind of trying to deliver the truth, you know what I mean? So we'll continue doing that today and see how the process of developing out theories about players happen when we get sort of these small windows into context, and then we can see how certain things are done and we can understand the context behind certain words and stuff. And it's going to be an interesting, really, to give the meat to the skeleton that was the first video. Obviously you see here the Raptors recipe, the success of Chris Boucher, the first one, but this one's kind of like a part 2, revisited, expanded, and deepened, because we're going to go into it with there's been a lot of great media content that's come out from Chris Boucher and about his story over the last year or so, and this video was done in the summer around September, right? So there's a lot of context to a lot of different thoughts I mentioned in this video, and we're just going to expand more on them and kind of revisit a couple things. I got some hustle play clips, some logical old school clips, we got some open gym clips, and we're going to see how things kind of cess out from my opinion before and then how it's developed more further. So this is going to be an interesting kind of just a continuation of deepening the context of Chris Boucher's journey and what a great guy he is, and maybe the deeper mechanics of from his words and whatnot, and seeing actual Ibrahim, which he's not like a spotlight guy, he just does his stuff from behind the scenes to help Chris, and I think we saw a bit more of him in the open gym, so I definitely want to touch on that. So this one's gonna be a great one. Strap back, enjoy. I think a great way to start this out is with some fire from Alvin, someone that really knows Chris Boucher now and has kind of learned about him more and how he feels.
From the outside, I think from anything, if you're a businessman, whatever you do, the journey has to be respected. The journey, if the journey is not respected, then nobody coming from behind there is ever going to understand the true meaning of success. I watched a story on him today. His journey, I never knew nothing about his upbringing, his childhood, everything. And he's like, God damn. Like, damn. Like, for real? So if anybody ever say anything to me about anybody and him, anything, they can't Because you don't, until you know the journey, then you can't speak on the person. You can't speak on the man.
To kind of summarize this video, but I actually found a great clip that kind of explains it in a nutshell, where we went over different things. We're gonna see similar slides, so all that information will be brought back up, but most of the general messaging of what I said is pretty much laid down in the intro of the new kind of open gym on Chris Boucher. So let's take a listen on that.
I always knew I wanted to come back. I have a lot of history. I've been here for a minute, won a championship and all from the G League. I just felt like it was the right place to be, and I had a great run with Toronto, so I just knew, Bobby and Masai, I trust them a lot, and it was easier to make that decision off, believing in them.
He's gone through this incredible process, where he's learned in the NBA and he's figured out a role.
He's built on a skill set that we need that matches this team, and I think that's why he's been successful.
He just had to learn how to play, and sometimes, that takes time, and it took time with him.
I think I got lost a little bit in, who I was and the way I used to play. Watching clip from Oregon when I used to be all energy and didn't really have skills. I had to find a ways to get it back, and when I went to that slump, that really brought it back, because I was like, well, the only way I could get out of it is playing hard, and I started really focusing on the little things, wanted to be, one of the guys that does the hustle plays and stuff, and it kind of helped me out during that time.
He had a lot of ups and downs, just his journey in general, going to a small high school and then JUCO and then going to Oregon and getting hurt before the draft. So his story is really interesting, and now that he got back to his feet and he's in a good position, I'm really happy for him.
So obviously this open gym, and that's where the clip from, is summarizing this in part. But now we've seen more stuff over time. Hustle Play has a lot more great clips from Boucher. I'm not going to go to every Hustle Play episode and try to grab everything. It'd be too long, right? So I'm just going to focus in on a couple key ideas with Chris's development and some of the successes that he's had with working with his mentor Ibrahim, and different things like giving the context of the Van Vliet quote of he's 99% energy and effort and 1% the basketball game IQ kind of side, and kind of flesh that idea out as it wasn't a slight on Boucher. It was about talking about his potential and future potential on the team, and Van Vliet sees it because the more he learns the game, the better he's gonna get, and we're starting to see that over time, right? Sometimes you have to be patient with certain prospects, and we're seeing some great stuff from Boucher this year at this moment. So definitely want to talk about some of the shades of past Boucher, and we're going to talk about how we were able to get that same effect. But let's go into some of Chris Boucher's beginning and how him not playing organized basketball or organized sports at first had him at a handicap with trying to learn organized sports. And you're going to hear a lot of interesting sound clips from even Boucher describing that time. And I'm going to show up the first kind of slide with Ibrahim's name on it, and we're going to take a look at that kind of place, because Boucher does mention Oregon even in that first kind of open gym clip. So let's take a look at what Boucher even says from his own words.
Myself, that's we watch video. We were watching video from when I was playing in prep school and whatever, and I look clueless. I look like I'm just happy to be here. I don't look like I'm chasing anything. I don't even talk to the refs. I hard foul. I don't even know what's going on. I'm just happy I'm on the floor. You get what I'm saying? So that's probably saved me and made me the player that I am now, because for the longest time I was just playing the game and be happy that I'm playing. Obviously now I understand the game a lot more. I've kind of felt like I kind of do have a little bit more respect to certain stuff and all that. So obviously my mind's a little different, but when I see myself back in the days, that kid was not. That's not money. He's not chasing money. He's just happy with the life he's living, and that's something that I try to keep as much as I can. Because obviously, like my whole career, it's not like I knew I was gonna make so much money. I didn't even know I was gonna make it to the NBA until late. So, and then after that year contract and all that, I'm still chasing to be on a team. You know, like like at first you just want to be on a team. You don't even think you're gonna make 5-10 millions. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was the easiest part, is that I was always in that category of just being happy to be in the game, just be happy to play basketball and be recognized for what I do.
So we can hear his opening remarks about the prep school and whatnot, and how he played then. He didn't actually know what was going on with the refs or whatever. I can understand that because I started a sport late too, in a sense. So I understand the kind of transition he was going through at first and what it really must have took to get him to a certain level, right? So obviously Ibrahim is a big factor in this, and I think it's great to enter him into kind of the picture. And in the open gym episode, we see exactly his effect on Chris Boucher. Let's hear my before opinions on the subject. And I kind of understood it, but this obviously adds more context. So we're building on the kind of ideas that I already had before from my understanding in my own back, and similar kind of stuff with Chris Boucher, right? So let's hear what I got to say, and we'll mix in some more clips in a second, right?
The metaphorical glass, I think, of the mind, and how a mind develops through the years and what skills it learns. I think him, and knowing his story, being kind of like couch surfing and being homeless, kind of working at St. Hubert's, I think it really changed who he was. I think he had to become more resourceful and more like able to learn from mistakes quicker, because I think his mistakes, when made, were a little bit more damaging to his self-being. So it's like you learn really quickly, or you don't really make it, or you tend to keep having hardships. He ended up playing in the tournament and actually did really well, like really well. And I think when you're in that kind of mode of trying to survive, you learn how to read people really well. And I think at that tournament, his mentor that's been with him now for since he started, pretty much discovered him, and then has been with him up until now, Ibrahim, which he talks about quite a bit, was a solid guy enough that could help him build those other attributes, the basketball character. And I think he's really been instrumental in his development going forward. Like, it's been really interesting how Ibrahim has kind of helped speed up his development, because someone starting to play organized basketball at 19 doesn't really have a great chance to make it to the league. Like, statistically, it's rare. So I think it's really interesting how Ibrahim was able to help him and be that support, because I think it's really important for players to have a certain type of support around them to really succeed and be able to, like, not have so many ups and downs and just be really grounded and really focused on what you need to be doing. Because I think it takes focus and character to come in this late and really like triumph in a way that he has. And he showed that ability to adapt, to listen, to put the effort. Effort's never a question with Chris, I think. It's always about aiming that effort in the right direction. Because if you tell him to shoot, he's going to shoot. Tell him to do this, he's going to do that, right? I think he wants to be here so much, and his dedication to the game and the love of the Raptors and the sport and who he is as a person, like a battler, a guy that's never going to give up. He's going to continue to grow, so I think we have other pieces developing, but he's always kind of developing because he's getting more knowledgeable. He's going to make less mistakes, make better plays, so he's going to continue to develop.
Some of the opinions from the Raptors recipe video, talking about where I saw the potential of growth for Chris Boucher. But now let's see what that actually looks like in process, because they kind of showed a little bit behind the curtain and let Ibrahim explain himself out. And you might not understand completely what's going on in the clip, but understand how intently Chris is actually engaged with the information and actually taking it in and eventually kind of learn something out of it. And I think this is the part that kind of really helped him develop really quickly. And Ibrahim deserves a large shout out for being a real one to Chris and really caring about a guy, seeing a guy that had things not handed to him the best, but had the potential to become this. And he's really put that work in, right? So let's see Ibrahim in this role of upgrading Chris's game IQ.
Well, we're watching film. We watched Milwaukee and we watched the one before that against the T-Wolves. It's funny how it started. We got into a debate about his shot selection. I was trying to tell him that, you know, he could be a much better three-point shooter if he took better ones. And so he wasn't seeing it. So I had this app and, you know, I just showed him all his clips and all his stats. And he just realized that he took a lot of contested threes. So we were looking for ways for him to just take, you know, the wide open ones. You can close out, like run them off the line while staying on the floor.
Because we're in 13 defense, so like, I can't let him go to the corner.
Yeah, but
it's kind of like a snap. I feel like if I go and I don't jump, it's just pass over me on the corner.
Let's say he was at the corner, the way you jumped out.
The first time he wouldn't be able to pass.
Yeah, the first time he can't.
This time he could have, because I meant run him off the line for him to do a jump shot. Look, the first time if you did it, look, you're not getting that. I'm like this.
Yeah. If you're reading it, you know he's in the corner, so you're worried about him, right?
I'm worried about who?
About
Covington.
On the corner. Yeah. That's why you're not really committing. If you're here, if you're up, when he catches, that's when you start dropping. Because now what you did is you went up and went back down.
But what if I'm already there, right?
Right.
And I'm up right now, and he has it and he shoots it.
Who shoots it?
Middleton. See it?
Yeah, again?
No, but this time he was higher.
Yeah, he was higher. But that's what I'm saying.
Cause he knew, like it's in transition, so he knew he had to split the two. Cause he seen it. What's his name? Is jogging, not even there yet. If he actually stays, he's messed up.
No, 100%. But that's what I was saying earlier. If you're higher, you make him do that.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Because Chris Middleton
if I
went
sense
from
that
the
he's
middle.
late, then I should get there and cover it up.
So 100% focus on him versus the team that they come in with a scouting report and they're going to defend the other team and things like that. I just tell him when he comes in and he has effort and gets an offensive rebound right away, it usually gets him going. I like his feedback as well, just because I think I learned a lot from him too, just as far as like the team concept and things like that too. So me too, it gives me a better perspective on, you know, what I can help him out on.
So from that clip from Open Gym, we can see that clearly Chris Boucher is growing his basketball IQ with Ibrahim and a lot of different things that you would have learned during your cup filling during your younger years, right? Versus Chris Boucher was working and learning about people, and he was able to identify a peer mentor that can really help him. And it was great in the hustle play this week. Chris Boucher went into some of the stuff that I've been trying to say on this channel of the purity of certain mentors and certain people teaching you what they want to teach you and not necessarily what you need to be taught, in a sense. So like there's a lot of different dynamics, but let's hear Alvin's words and Chris's words on this, right?
I'll say that it would have been back in the days, probably during that time when I talked to guys like that and whatever, that probably would have never happened. You know what I'm saying? Like with a guy like Oaks on the team, you're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, it's something like I said, the veteranship. Like Tad got lucky that he got good vets and he kept that culture and brought it. But it's not all the vets that does that. Some people are just okay. I'm on my way out the league. I'm gonna try to chase those last 2 contracts, and that's it. I don't care what you are or what you do or what you need to learn. Tad is not one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? And that's the good thing about it is that you see some guys are their heart is pure, and everything they learn about the game is pure, and they want to teach this to other people. And there's other guys that are just on the way out and they don't care no more. And that's the difference. And obviously during that time, I'm sure, because every story I heard about back in the days, yes, it was rough. Yes, it was physical. Yes, you couldn't mess around that much. But the love and the family energy was always there. If you was my teammate, I got you. No matter, you might not like the way I'm going at your practice and how I'm physical with you, whatever. But after, when it's all over, I got your back. And I feel like that is something that's kind of lost in the league now.
So yes, we heard there Chris talking partially on Thad, but also how things were before with the type of mentors that were in the NBA and the type of guys they are now, where there's some vets that don't care about anything to do with you, and there are some vets that are really pure about the game and just really want to pass that knowledge on, which is aka Thad. And that's why I went heavy into his mentor files to try to kind of show this point and prove it out a bit more. It wasn't fully gotten, sort of, but the real ones knew it and kind of got it. So it's definitely just in part a lot of different things. When you're bringing in an older vet like that, what type of vet is he, and what kind of effects can he have on the other players, let alone just his playing time? And I think Masai's always kind of looked at that value within players, right? But then there's also other things at play with Chris Boucher, with his effort and some of the kind of disrespect he's gotten through his life and stuff. So we're going to go into a little bit more into that direction now and see what they feel on what kind of player Chris Boucher is actually, right?
Alvin, you know, you've been there before, right? How do you find that type of consistency to make sure you try to bring it every night? It's on your team. It's on the team. It's on the leadership. It's on how they receive the coach's word. But take, for instance, take Chris. Like, it ain't never a game where you don't see his energy, right? Oh, yeah. It ain't never. I don't care how the game is go. I don't care if he didn't play, didn't play. The energy never changed, right? That never changed. So, if I'm a coach, if I'm a fan, if I'm anything, you always want to come to the game. You always want to go into a game knowing what you're going to get from your players. So when you have players like Chris, and you have players that have that energy, right? The shot ain't always going to go in. You're going to be matched up against somebody. He going to get it rolling. He might light you up. Like that'll happen. But when you have players that don't come in with that same energy and that same focus and that same thing that this is how I'm going to be and this is what I'm going to give to this team every single night, that's when you got problems, right? That's when you got problems. So you look for those players that's going to bring you that energy first and foremost. I don't care about nothing else. Now we're going to get into details. Now we're going to get into skill set. But that energy and that approach every night, it has to be there. And it's just like Chris said, if you don't come with that, you might get ran out the gym against the Orlando Magic or the Detroit Pistons or the Charlotte Hornets. You might get ran out the gym because that can happen at any time.
So clearly from the episode of Open Gym and Hustle Play, there was a lot of emphasis on Chris's energy and effort level and how it's like elite in a sense of knowing what he's gonna bring every night. He's gonna go all out and stuff. And he was talking about how getting back to kind of those Oregon days where he gave that kind of full out energy. But there's also dynamics of the game starting to slow down for him. Once your IQ builds to a certain point, the game starts to slow down, the NBA level game, and he sees his openings better and is able to translate those open kind of dunks when he's running down in transition and he's kind of gotten a green light. I did mention it on Lex stream like a month ago or a couple weeks ago that I saw that he was starting to get a green light in transition to kind of come down the court, and if there's an opening, he can kind of attack. So that's all in part of that basic energy is needed at first, and then we can talk about different things, right? So let's hear my take on his energy before hearing all the recent stuff, right?
So I think it's really important to start it off with his mentality and understand who he is, because I think his makeup is really like a guy that understands the gravity of moments and has no problem giving everything he can, because he understands that opportunities are limited to people sometimes, and you have to take the opportunity you're given. Because I think for Chris, he has so many opportunities to kind of be something so different each year and throughout each game that it's hard to even kind of pinpoint what kind of player he is now. He's just like kind of like that great glue guy. If you need a charge, he's gonna get it for you. You need a block or something, he's gonna go in there. You need whatever, a bucket. You can need a good like back screen. You need like whatever, he's gonna provide it, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to stay here.
So clearly I had kind of like a somewhat idea of his role at that time, but now things have escalated where we talked before where his basketball IQ has progressed, and now I guess things are slowing down for him, and we're seeing what Van Vliet called box office Chris. We're seeing the type of speed, quickness, and the kind of movements that he was displaying in the G League when he won G League MVP.
They called a timeout because I think I blocked the shot after, and then after that, they were like, "Yeah, you jumped from the free throw line." I was like, "Damn."
He's had quite a few. He's athletic, lanky body, long arms. Can get places where a lot of us can't. His body type has helped with the type of game he's developed in the NBA.
I've always, played above the rim and all, so it's not surprising to me, but I think people, when they first saw it, it definitely was like, well, we didn't know you could do all that stuff.
So obviously, it took longer than expected, but I think we're starting to scratch the surface of the player that we were looking at initially with him coming out of that two-way contract, right? And it wasn't all up. It took a couple years, like Chris said. It took a year for him to really work on his offense, and then the next year was really a lot of defense, and then another year was kind of mixing the both together to find a real kind of different blend for himself and a real role in this team. And now he's escalated in that role with energy and knowing the different kind of openings he has with this role on this team. So let's hear what he thinks about roles in the league today and kind of different things about being judged for even just being a great hustle energy guy, and why people have these kind of misconceptions about guys like Chris Boucher and different things, right?
See that the NBA changed, physicality or whatever. Obviously, when I talk to Thad, Big Cat, and these guys, the league that they tell me that they were playing in, it's not what it is now at all. It's not even close, obviously. But a lot of things changed. Obviously, I think the game got faster and all that, but some people used to be just able to they were happy to be in a team and just be a rebounder. They were happy to be in a team and just be a facilitator or whatever. People were sticking their role and they were just happy to be in the league and do it. Now, it's kind of hard now to find somebody that just want to do their job, obviously. And I think it changed a lot of stuff where you get criticized for not having a championship, for example, because it's you're not a winner. Well, I'm still one of the greatest players out here. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about the journey anymore. It's really about winning a championship or winning MVP, and everybody's just chasing, and now realizing that just being in the NBA and be one of the top 20 players is a lot already.
Alvin, what are your thoughts about how the game has changed? And maybe a lot of people are not looking at the journey of a player, but just whether he has a championship or not.
Yeah, no, that's facts. I mean, that's what it is when you're chasing greatness. And once again, the goalpost moves then, because you can do everything. You can be the leading scorer in the NBA history. You can do all these things, and then they can say, how many championships you got?
So obviously some great words from Chris and Alvin on the way that people think about their own roles in the NBA now and stuff. And Chris, I'm not going to put it all out there, right? You can go check the Hustle Play with Alvin. It's a pretty good one. But he was also talking about some of the certain factors with of his own expectations and what he wanted from his role in this league. Obviously, he was with Golden State at first. I'm sure the mentorship, leadership isn't as the same as the Raptors. And I think he had to really sense what was kind of good information from them and what wasn't good information based on the purity, and I think he understood that a little bit more coming up with the Raptors, and that's why he really wants to be here. He understands the benefits he gets from like being with us, where he doesn't have to worry about all this crazy nonsense and background noise. He knows what his job is, he knows what is expected, and he knows if he puts in work on different things, he can have an opportunity to use them in game sometimes, right? So it's this continuous process of developing guys out and not necessarily looking, oh, that guy sucks at this moment. It's about seeing where that development can go in the future. And I've kind of always had a keen eye on Chris and understanding that the more he learns the X's and O's of the game, he's going to become more lethal. And that kind of quote from Van Vliet about being a monster of a player, we're starting to see that kind of box office-ness back to Chris Boucher's game, which would be similar to the type of things he was doing at the G League level when he won Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in the G League. And we can see that from right here. So all this kind of stuff circles back around in the end in a sense of what we're trying to get done. And if a guy shows progress, we continue with him till we get to that point of that vision where we kind of say with everyone, hey, come in, put in the work, and we're going to try to make you the best you can be possibly, right? It's about you being the best. Let's utilize your skills and not like all this other stuff that really kind of isn't productive when teaching kind of skills in the NBA. And there's a lot of things that have to be gone over again and stuff. So Chris, with a glass less full on the kind of bad stuff, was able to input and take in all this good stuff, and now is becoming a really key bench piece, like I said there. And he's also an NBA champion, and he's a great piece to this core and does a lot of his own mentor work now with some of our younger guys and his platform from signing this contract and stuff. So we've seen a lot of great developments, but this is a sort of thing, like, I don't ever want to leave a video there and that's the end of it. I do want to revisit these storylines, and this was kind of a good treat just to show it in like a smaller time frame, like 6 months of a change in how we've developed on certain ideas behind Chris and his role and the aims of his development, right? So this week I'm actually gonna have a quite longer housekeeping, because it's also a reflection housekeeping of what the aims were for the series starting off, the Raptors Developing Value series. I got an interesting throwback of my original first Grubstown shout out. It's gonna be an interesting housekeeping. So housekeeping, I always want to start off by saluting and thanking the real ones for the likes, the comments, the subs. Last week's episode was a really good one, and this one's a kind of a different model of things. Today we're talking about different things, but I want to really reflect on the kind of job I've been doing for the real ones, because that's my purpose here, serving the real ones, trying to help them not have to worry about reading all the crap like spin stuff, and someone that can maybe just give them the straight facts on certain things they're wondering about. And let's hear my original take on what I want this series to become.
I just want to thank everybody that's in this Raptors community that kind of makes you want to be involved and kind of do more within the community. That's really great energy, great positive energy. about our team. And I just want to thank everyone for their time. I'm not thinking of making like Raptors developing value a kind of hallmark series of mine. With the extension series, I'll probably do that every summer or so. So I don't know, we'll see how this kind of evolves over the year. I don't know what videos I want to kind of plan during the season yet, but I do have ideas for more of the timeless videos, like Raptors developing value, or talking about like the Raptors effect and quantifying different things and focusing on growth trends and salary and like technicalities and stuff like that.
So obviously we could see things have really progressed, right, with the channel, and that was the original housekeeping with no like setup for the incoming videos and whatnot and stuff. And like I just wanted to have this here for, I guess, the housekeeping on this one, just for this review part of it, because this was the video that kind of started the Raptors developing value series, in a sense of what it ultimately became with the trades, because obviously the first one was the OG Anunoby Gary Trent Jr. trade tree and how we got them, and kind of going through the logistics a bit of that trade. That was the first kind of Raptors developing value series video, and then this one kind of anchored it a little bit more for the idea of what I had for this series. So hopefully I've brought what I hope to bring, and obviously we're going to continue on the production quality and continue just working through my own journey as developing as a creator, right? It's not linear. Gonna be up and down sometimes, but I do want to say that I am definitely working towards the better side of things, and I want to rewind things back a little bit to my original Grubstown Clink shout out, which is going to be an interesting listen here. So let's listen in.
All my guys in different chats and stuff, I know I'm kind of in everything, kind of always learning and growing in different areas all at the same time. So I know it's kind of a mix and different collection of people, but it's really great to see the support everyone showing out. I want to thank Grubstown. I just found his channel, a lot of great content, similar style that I want to get into, like deeper concept stuff, not just the news. I want to try to make my videos more timeless and can be like watched at any point, and the information still be great.
Yeah, that was the first date I kind of mentioned Grubstown on my channel, because I just found his, and in that exact video he was shouting out Raptors Freak Lex. Then I went and seen his channel, and that's where this all started, where I'm like a Raptors freak now and part of the Clink and Grubstown and chilling with both, and definitely supporting both guys because I really love their energy with the team and like really care about things to go well, and not so pessimistic about judging things really quickly and giving the proper time for things to marinate, and then maybe even giving a more positive look at different things, because it isn't always dwelling on what the bad things could happen in the scenario. It's sometimes you have to look at the upside of things and weigh the risk, how much is bad versus good you can get out of a decision. And if people just want to always look at the bad, then that perception becomes reality, right? So I want to be fair and look in the middle, but highlight, I think, the good sides of different things and talk about the bad side when it's appropriate. But I don't need to harp on the same points every single day, like people don't understand like what's going on with the team, right? So it's like a give and take of different things, but I just always want to salute out Raptors Freak Nation and Raptors Freak Lex, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like, time zone is key, because I know there's a lot of Raptors fans around the world, And I think just, yeah, 9:30 Eastern, like North American time, right? So Lex is always breaking down different subjects. Now he's going to go into his summer kind of different ideas where we talk on deeper stuff, I guess. And like, I wasn't there for last summer because this video obviously came out in September, so I didn't know what they did last summer, but he's explained it a bit. It's going to be interesting, a lot of different interesting stuff. So I'm definitely, you should check it out if you're into kind of just talking about the team with care and stuff like that, which is really important, I think, today, with just a lot of misinformation and craziness and slander. And Grubstown Clink is a great source for some good positive knowledge. So we'll see how things go with the rest of the season. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Logical Raptors. Fanatic out. Mike G. Mike G.
Oh man, I love my team. Man, I love my team. I would die for them.
Not just cause I want to, cause I got to. Put the squad on your back, did the impossible. It's only logical, it's fitted from the heart.